What's up, everybody? My name is Michelle Lawrence, and you are watching Black Tea, an interview series with Black women in advertising, presented by Muse by Clio. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Teneka King. Please tell the people what you do and where you're based.
I am a senior art director and I'm based in New York City, Brooklyn to be specific.
Yeah, awesome. So, how did you make your way into advertising?
Through a back door. It was definitely not a traditional route at all. I have studied business before, so I have a business degree, and definitely, I was always somewhat creative, just didn't know in what capacity or like what I wanted to do with that. I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer at one point. Um, that quickly died because I can't sew, but I ended up discovering this like visual presentation world where I got to do like merchandising, and I worked at a store and it was all about like how do we sell things, and it was this global company, so I got to travel and do all this stuff. And then I realized like this is a career and there's like some really cool creative people, but you could use your business side at the same time. And then I was like, I want to move to New York and go to school and study art and design and just do it. And so I did. And I studied visual presentation and exhibition design, which is a really weird program.
So technical.
Definitely technical, but essentially it was like everything from like point of sale stuff to window displays to like exhibitions, literally like building wayfinding and signage and stuff like that. And then I was like, I really like this graphic design part of things. And then that's sort of what I pursued after. So I started working at a nonprofit. And then I did that. And at the nonprofit, I got to meet a lot of different agencies who would like approach us to do work pro bono and different things like that. And then I was like, oh, so there's people who just like come up with these things all the time. And that sort of was like my first foray into like advertising agency life. And then I took a little sabbatical, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go work in advertising. Most people do it in reverse, but I kind of was like, I think I can do more on the other side. And I just wanted to tell stories and like of different types of people. And I think so far it's been really fun to be able to do that.
That's awesome. So, how long would you say you've been on the advertising side of that kind of varied career?
It's been about 3 years now, three-ish, almost four. Yeah.
Okay, dope. Love it. Senior AD at 3 years. That's amazing.
I mean, I did design and I was art directing in the nonprofit world, but my
Exactly.
previous job. So yeah, I
Yeah,
had
I
a
mean,
life
it's
before
nice to
advertising.
see that, that acknowledged. It isn't always, and so it's really great that people are recognizing that you have years of experience and relevant skill, and you can bring that to the table. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't always. In speaking and like going tons of interviews, you do get that like, well, what do you do and like, can you do it sentiment from a lot of recruiters and just different people. And it's just like, well, the work is just different, but you're doing the same thing. Essentially, you're trying to sell an idea, sell a concept. What's your insight? It's just, I think advertising is slightly different. And for one, you have a lot more people and lots more bodies and helpers, which is lovely. And you're not like a one-man show, which is very common in nonprofit worlds. But yeah, I feel everything I learned then I still use every day at work today.
Amazing. So how do you think that being a Black woman has kind of influenced the way that you work and what you contribute to the industry?
Um, I'd say, well, one, I'm a Black woman in America. Originally from Canada, so I'm an immigrant technically. My parents are from the Caribbean, so they're also immigrants. So I think just having that history definitely makes me a lot more curious and like open to people who are different, and sort of searching for like, okay, well, what's special about this? And um, you can be super creative and you learn to do a lot with a little, and just thinking about like what makes people special that's more than just surface level. And I think in advertising sometimes we kind of get into the like big idea, and a lot of it is what most people want. But it's like, well, what about like these pockets of people and these like
Right.
little communities that are like that no one really knows about, but like are sustaining themselves fully and like have their own world and their own businesses and their own shops and stuff. And it's like wanting to tap into that a little bit more. I think that's my goal in advertising.
Yeah, I think that's great. You're definitely headed towards more kind of multiple niche communities than, kind of one large audience. I think most brands are feeling that shift. So it's great to have that sensibility. Did you immigrate to the US as an adult or as a child?
Yeah. I moved here to go to school for college. So it was interesting. Now I've lived here 12 years.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to live in New York. It was always a thing in my high school yearbook. I wrote it. I was going to live in Manhattan somewhere, did the whole thing. And New York just has like an energy unlike anywhere else. And I have a love-hate relationship with the city, I won't lie. But there's definitely a lot to love.
What's the hate part? Because I want the tea.
Well, it's just one, it gets a bad rep. Like initially everyone was like, people are really mean and like no one talks to you, and you're like, me being this girl from Canada is going to New York and like gonna get swallowed. But honestly, it's not that people are mean, it's that people are very much like tunnel vision. Like they're on their way to go somewhere, everybody's hustling, everybody's like on the run. But if you stop them and ask them like, where's the this, or ask for directions, or like I need help, like people are very willing to help you. I think it's just if they're not prompted, they're not going to like just randomly go out of their way. But it is one of those things where it's just like, hey, like I need help finding this, or like people do hold a door here. Like there's just, and then there's the other stuff like, rent being super high, and just the subway every other day, like the train line's not working or something. But you kind of take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's up. And I totally I hear you on that kind of northeastern sensibility. I've never lived in New York, which is why I want the tea because I'm moving there shortly. But also, I am originally from Philadelphia, and I feel like it's the same kind of mentality. People think, oh, we're tough, we're mean, but we're really just not. I think everyone, like you said, is just very focused. I remember when I moved to Atlanta as a child from Philadelphia. And people were, as we were kind of driving up to our new house, people were like waving.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, do you know that guy? Like, who is that? Like, it's just not normal for people to, acknowledge you when they don't know you. But if you engage them, like, at a bar or whatever, the conversation is always dope. So,
Yeah.
Northeastern folks aren't mean. We're just, on our grind,
And it also depends on where you live in New York, because there are neighborhoods that are a lot more like communities where you do see the same people every day, versus like Manhattan, it's possible that you will never see your neighbors, So I think it depends. It depends on where you are, but they're nice.
Okay, they're nice people. So what is one of your biggest hopes for advertising for the industry, and specifically as an art director for the future of creativity in the industry?
To me, I think as an art director specifically, I would say wanting to have more representation from different types of creatives, whether that be like, oh, we were working with this photographer, and like, let's find a Black female photographer. Let's do that. Like, I think there's so many creative people that we don't really know and don't necessarily want to do the digging to find, but they're there and very easy on Instagram. I think just giving more people different types of opportunities and taking more risks. I think like the biggest thing is like, oh, well, they've never done it before, or I don't know if they could do it. But honestly, like people are super resourceful, and why not? Like we take risks literally with these creative concepts because they could totally fail.
Right.
So like, why not also do that in other ways, whether it be like hiring juniors or hiring people from non-traditional backgrounds or different fields. I think those are like, they say like in advertising is all about like your life and what you do outside of work and how how you see the world. And I think if we just keep talking to the same people, we're just going to continue to do the same thing. So I think we just need to branch out in all ways.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Amazing. So, speaking of your life outside of work, what are some things that are really inspiring you right now from a visual perspective?
Hmm. I really love film and photography. So I've been watching Small Acts by Steve McQueen on Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
And it's like a series of 5 different films based in the UK and surrounding like Caribbean immigrants to the UK. And like the way it's shot visually, it's so beautiful. The story is great, but like it definitely makes you feel like you're in that time and in that place. So I love looking at films and like how they shoot different angles and like just like I was watching this Bollywood film and like was just like OD, super colorful and fun, and like just the way they even capture like the movement of the dancing and all that stuff. It's really interesting to me. And then music. Yesterday I was discovered this artist and I was looking at the music video that I was just like, who is the creative director? Because this was amazing. So just I feel like I find inspiration everywhere. This COVID time, I've been like walking around my neighborhood and going down streets that I never really frequented. And just looking at like Brooklyn brownstones and the architecture. And it's just, I think inspiration's everywhere. And you just sort of have to like be willing to look for it.
Are there any favorite IG or Twitter pages that you're following right now?
I recently did a project with TikTok, so I'm kind of on TikTok right now. Just
Okay.
it's a dark hole.
Yeah.
You find so many random things. Oh my gosh, Texas beekeeper.
Okay.
Okay, so there's this woman. This is actually an IG account that I just discovered. She is a beekeeper and essentially gets hired like as an exterminator to go collect the bees and take them out of the where they don't belong. And so she went to some like she goes and shows you all these like random excavations really that she's doing. And like one was like an abandoned like couch that
Mhm.
was just like on the road, the side of the road, and bees like migrated and like literally had their whole hive inside of like the underneath of the couch. And so like she shows you how she takes them out, how she finds the queen bee and like the whole process. It's wild. But her voice is so soothing. So like you're just watching like everything that's happening. And she doesn't wear any protective gear. She's just there in like jeans and t-shirt. And she's
What?
holding the bees and taking them out. And she talks about like knowing how the bees like if what their temperament is and like if they're mean, she like can tell like based on their actions. And she's like, I can see like these guys are nice, so I can hold them with my hand versus if I guess if they were more aggressive, she would put the gear on. It's very strange, but she's really, really cool.
Um, okay, career FOMO. If you could magically be qualified to do a job outside of advertising and like start tomorrow, what would be, that dream job?
I would probably say 2 things. One, I'd be like a florist.
Mhm.
Um, I love nature, plants, all that stuff. So I would probably like be some floral person. And then like that does the gardens, like those like British Covenant gardens types of things and like plans where all the flowers are going to be. I think I would do that. Or a veterinarian. I
Mhm.
love animals and would love to do that.
Do you have any
I
animals?
don't have any pets. I grew up with my pets my whole life, but never got one since I've lived on my own, which is strange. Probably should.
I want to give you a little bit of an opportunity to brag here. So put aside that inherent humility that sometimes we carry and tell the people why it would be a huge mistake to underestimate your skills and your power in this industry.
That's a good question. And I'm so not a bragger, so this is interesting. But I would say I can do anything I put my mind to, and if I don't know how to do it, I'll figure it out. And I think that is like almost my superpower. That I like a challenge. I'm super adventurous. I've gone bungee jumping and like crazy things like that. And I think almost like the thrill of not knowing what exactly I'm doing is like adds some extra like oomph, and I got to figure it out. And I think um that's like one of my strengths. And like I just finished this project and everyone's like, I don't know, you're doing this all by yourself. And like for me, I'm just like, give it to me, like I'll figure it out. And it's fun, and I like doing new things and doing things for the first time. I think that's really fun, and just it shows you like how far you can go and how far you can push yourself. Like I think of like Beyonce and her Homecoming, and she's just like, I'm never doing this again, but I'm glad that I knew that I can do it.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I'm very much the same. Like I can, like, oh, you want to do a concert? Sure, I'll figure out how to do that. I don't know how to build a stage, but I'll figure it out. You know, like just getting through those things and like challenging yourself in that way. So I would say that would probably be my humble brag, maybe.
Mhm. It was very humble, but I caught the I caught the brag in there. I caught the brag in there. I love it. You are the same as Beyonce. That's gonna be my takeaway.
Well, I, we did talk about bees, so this is
We
we're coming
did.
full circle. This is true.
And then the florist thing, bees will be there again. You know, it's a
That is
whole
true.
sign. It has been so fantastic to talk to you about all of these subjects and topics. I feel like we could chit chat all day, but I want to preserve your time. So thank you so much for being here on Black Tea, Teneka. It's been just such a delight. I can't wait to continue to follow your work and what you do. And just thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I love this Black tea. I love it. I think it's so great to just highlight Black women in this industry because often they get overseen, and, you know, it's our time. So I think definitely we're reclaiming that right now with this podcast. So I love that.
Sure are. Love it. So that's our episode, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please go to musebycleo.com/black tea for more episodes. Bye.